Actually, it's a lot easier for us than we kind of anticipated. I feel like once we walk into the house at night, it's done. Like the workday's over. Like I could be mad at him all day long, but then we walk in the house and it's done.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, business owners of all ages, it is another episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. It's always a great Wednesday when the show gets released. As always, it's your host, Ryan Deemer, and today I have the privilege of finally having a conversation with somebody damn near in my backyard. Jeremy and his wife, Kellie, they own a business called Haggerty, Dozing and Excavating, and I think it's 40 minutes as a crow flies, not even as a crow flies, on the highways to get to their business from my house. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to be able to talk a little bit about the area, things we both know, love, do. Before I introduce this husband and wife couple, I do want to remind all of you that this show is brought to you by skidsteernation.com. Guys, we have done the research. We've talked to manufacturers. I've went throughout the internet, throughout the country, found people that put an enormous amount of quality into their attachments. These things are built to last. We don't represent just any manufacturer that wants stuff. We know what kind of demands you have of your equipment, and those are the manufacturers that we partner with. So when you're looking to buy equipment that lasts long, gives you a good return on your investment, head over to skidsteernation.com for your next skid steer attachment. And if you're in this business, like all of us, sometimes getting your name out there is tough. You guys are great operators. You're not supposed to be amazing marketers. So when you need help with that, we have Throttled Up Marketing. We can help increase your web presence, get you a brand new website, ranking in Google, helping in multiple other areas. As you know, I also do consulting for business companies. So a lot of the time I spend with clients isn't just on marketing. So if you're interested in learning more about that, open up the show notes and click on the link to the Throttled Up Marketing website. Enough with the ad rolls. Jeremy and Kellie, it's so nice to have you on the show.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. It's not every day that you see usually a wife helps run the business, but you guys are like both ingrained in this fully, correct?
Yep. We both run every machine except for she doesn't run the trucks, but other than that, we both run everything.
Oh, that's so awesome. I was doing a little bit of Facebook creeping. I always feel like an ex-girlfriend before I do these interviews, seeing like what you're up to these days. Were you guys like high school sweethearts? Have you been together a long time?
I've been together 10 years.
10 years?
Yep. I'm actually 5 years older than him, so we didn't even attend high school together.
Ah, okay. Okay. Are you both from Cuba then?
Yep.
Yep. That's awesome. Guys, they live in Cuba, Illinois. It's literally 30, 40 minutes from Peoria. It's in a place called Fulton County. And if anyone in the Midwest has ever heard of Fulton County, it's because they either shoot ducks or geese, because it is right on the Mississippi Flyway. And it's just like a highway of waterfowl flying overboard. We spent a lot of time over there at the Double T and all around Canton and the prison, hunting and messing around when I was younger.
Yeah, if you're at prison, you're only 10 minutes from us.
Yeah, it's not far at all. Not far at all. Do you guys work constantly, or do you find some things in your personal life to go out and have a little fun?
Mostly work. I mean, I do a little bit of truck pulling, but not as much as I used to.
Okay.
Just trying to grow and expand the business.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. You started, 6 years ago, 2019? Is that correct?
Yep. 2019 was when I started and started off by myself. And
yeah. Now you're 3 dozers, an excavator, and some other equipment up in this thing.
Back down to 2 dozers. We roll a lot of equipment. We buy junk and fix it up and flip it and make money using it too.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I saw that you did not take that path for your latest purchase, though. You went brand new.
Yeah, we definitely went brand new on the last 2 purchases, actually. We got a brand new skid steer last year, then the excavator this year.
Okay.
And I have people ask me probably every 2-3 days how I like running that new excavator. And I just tell them I have no idea because I haven't been in it yet. We've had it almost 2 months. And I have yet to run it on a job.
Who's running it?
Kelly runs it.
Yep.
Kelly,
That is
so Kelly, how do you like running the new excavator?
It's fantastic. I wish I would have done it a long time ago. I think
Yeah,
I've got almost 200 hours on it now.
Yeah.
that's awesome. What is it? What do you stands out to you the most about the old equipment versus the brand new?
No payment. The older stuff, I mean, like when we were starting out, it's a lot easier. I mean, for one, it's way cheaper to buy, but also reselling, if you're trying to make money that route, I mean, it's hard to sell new stuff because you're a limited market. I mean, like when we actually bought this new one, we had a demo here, and one of my buddies seen on my Snapchat that we had the demo, and he asked what I was going to do with the old excavator. I said, well, I'll sell it whenever we get ready to. Well, they ended up buying it 2 days later, and we hadn't even made a deal on a new one yet. So we ended up not having our big excavator for about 3 weeks. So our little one had to really work to stay caught up.
What kind of work are you mostly doing that you're needing these large bulldozers and excavators for?
A lot of farm work, clearing, land clearing for more acres to farm. We do a good amount of demolition too. We've done big barns, houses. We're putting a bid in on a old school up to Farmington, but we'll see how that one goes. That one might be a little bigger than what we are interested in, but
Yeah. With just the two of us, it's a little hard.
So you guys don't have other employees, right? I saw like one of your fathers helps from time to time or drives, but it's basically just the two of you that are working equipment on job sites?
Yep, just the two of us on job sites, but then her dad runs one of the two semis, so.
Okay. Excuse me. It's allergy season here. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting me. Yeah. I was going to try to wait till later in the show and do a little bit more lead in, learn more about you and your business and your services, but I just can't help myself. So how in the world do you guys separate? How in the world do you separate business and home life?
Actually, it's a lot easier for us than we kind of anticipated. I feel like once we walk into the house at night, it's done. Like the workday's over. Like I could be mad at him all day long, but then we walk in the house and it's done. I feel like that's right?
Yeah. I mean, because you know how a lot of people are against working with your wife. And there's, a bunch of my buddies say, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't work with my wife. I'm like, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, like I said, we do have our disagreements through the day, but that's work. That's not home life. So, I mean, once you understand that part, it makes it a lot easier.
It does, but I think a lot of couples have trouble keeping that boundary where they'll let stuff from personal affect work or vice versa, work affect personal. And then I don't know about you, Jeremy, but a lot of guys, and myself included, I can't turn it off just because it's 5:00, right? Like my mind's still thinking about the day or the next project or whatever. And being that both of you work together, like, is it easy to spend the whole evening talking about excavation after you've been working all day? Or do you guys do, like, is it like a hard stop at 5? We're going to be family, hang out with the kids?
Depends on the day. I mean, there's a lot of nights that I'm still in the shop late working on stuff just to get ready for the next day. But I mean, there is the days where we just stop and go do stuff with the kids.
That's awesome. And speaking of the kids, oh, sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
No, we'll talk through the night, like, hey, maybe we should do this. Don't forget to do this. Like, we do have the reminders that we need to, for the next day or whatever, or something pops in our head and we have to voice it before we forget, because that seems to happen a lot. But it's pretty easy for us to just separate it. I don't know if maybe we're an anomaly or something.
Whatever it is, congratulations to the two of you, because it's got to be awesome and rewarding to work with your spouse and then get along after work with your spouse. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So actually, like, since we got the new excavators, really The only time we haven't really worked together was this spring. Because the way the winter was, it went from frozen to super muddy, and then it was time to plant, which I help a big farmer, and so I take some time off from the business to go help him, but he's also 50% of our work probably, so we got to keep him happy. And so we were trying to play catch up and split up and do a bunch of jobs. So, I mean, we really hadn't worked together on the same job until a couple of days ago, and that's been since... it's the beginning of March. So, I mean, that's like the longest we've really been separated on work for the past several years.
Yeah.
Wow. Kellie, did you start with the business back in 2019 or did you integrate in after he'd been moving?
I actually worked a couple office jobs, bartending, that kind of stuff in the beginning. And this is 4th year.
I think so.
That I've been helping. Maybe 3rd. I don't remember. It's only been half the time, maybe. Just one day that I need help, and then I haven't left since.
I love it.
Yeah, first job.
I'm surprised you didn't leave.
Our first help on was a demolition job, and it was tearing down a water tower.
Oh, man.
Which that never got posted on our page for some reason. I don't know why, but we tore down a water tower in Havana. And that was a fun job. I would love to do another one.
Yeah. Did you just shake your head no, Kellie?
What?
I said, did you just shake your head no?
I did shake my head no. That was a long, hot, hard job. I went from working in air conditioning to 100-degree days. That was rough.
Yeah. And then that's your introduction to the business too, right?
Yep, I would help a little bit here and there on some driving jobs, but not a full-time thing. So, it was a change.
That's funny. So, speaking of kids, you guys have 2 younger children, correct? They're not very old.
We actually have 3.
3?
My oldest is 15 almost, and then we have a 9 and an 8-year-old.
Okay. And the 9 and the 8, excuse me, do all 3 of them get in the equipment and run? Or just a couple of the younger ones? Or because you were talking about how the kids can run just about any piece of equipment you guys own.
Well, that's pretty much our youngest one. She's the one who's really interested in all of it. I mean, she'll literally get in anything and run it if she can. I mean, like the skid steer, when we bought it, she would just make laps around the driveway because it was a new machine.
I think she put more hours on the demo than we did.
And we had a demo for a week, and she put more hours on it than both of us together, probably.
That's fantastic. My nephew was like that when we had a skid steer. Like you had to like lock the door, otherwise he was just sitting in it to sit in it. Like couldn't get him out of it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just last week we had the excavator here at the house and we pressure washed it to get it clean, and then I had to swing it around, and I didn't want to get in it because my boots were muddy, so I carried Lexi to it to get her and just to raise the boom and swing it around. I told her to watch out for the building, and she just looks at me and she goes, "I know what I'm doing," and proceeds to do it.
She's been watching Mom. She's got it figured out.
Oh yeah. She does.
She's been
operating
or trying to operate it since she was
3.
Yeah.
It was a week after she turned 3. It's the first time she ran a skid loader by herself.
Somebody's going to call DCFS on you just hearing that statement.
Probably.
We've been told. Just some of the, I mean, I have her running stuff, and, she'll unload trailers for me, and that way I don't have to climb in it. And I've had a few people tell me to watch what we post because of that.
Yeah.
And so we try to post the videos of her running it, especially when she was that young.
It's just a sad world, in my opinion. Like, we have to appease people because it doesn't fit their narratives. I don't want to go on that soapbox. We'll be here for an hour.
We could be. I mean, when I was younger, first time I drove a tractor, I think I was 4 or 5. And, it's an old tractor, no fenders, no nothing. It's a lot more dangerous than a skid loader.
Right.
At least a motor, if you let go of the controls, you stop. On a tractor, it ain't stopping.
Right. Right. Yeah. And, I don't know. We'll just change subjects because it's just frustrating that, if a helicopter mom's offended by something you're doing, then all of a sudden it's wrong because it's not what she would be doing. And now we've got a society issue. And it's like, okay, just go back to your manicures and go back to get your manicures. Leave me alone.
Ouch.
Anyway, now I'm way off topic. So Jeremy, like you back in 2019, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. I apologize for that. But like back in 2019, you were basically working on that farm, right?
Yep. I worked for a farm and then quit that and had no plan actually. Okay. And then I was hauling grain for my uncle and he told me I need to buy his dozer and excavator. And it was cheap. He told me 15 grand for both of them. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to afford that. I literally just quit my job. I was 23, 24 at the time, no job, and didn't know what my plan was. And so I went to the bank and talked to them about it. And they said, well, if it doesn't work out, you can always sell the equipment and make your money back. And we just kind of haven't stopped since. Started doing gravel driveways. I did gravel driveways probably the first year. That was probably 80 to 90% of my work the first year was just doing gravel driveways. And then we kind of slowly transitioned into the excavator work and took off from there.
Yeah, it's funny to think like the normal maturation of an excavation business. I would say 90% of them. Everything starts with skid steer work, driveways, basic land clearing, maybe some site prep. And it's usually within years 3 to 5, you start seeing like, oh, the money's with the excavator.
I mean, it is, but if you figure in your overhead for the bigger machines and everything, I kind of think there might be more money in driveways as far as profit-wise, but nobody likes sticking to that work because it's not the most fun work.
Yeah.
I mean, like both of us.
Both of you what?
I'd say both of us honestly hate running our skid loader. It's just not fun to either one of us. We'd rather be on the bigger machines.
Yeah. And it's funny because if you look at an enormous amount of the wealthy people in the United States, they got wealthy with boring jobs, boring careers, boring businesses.
Yep.
I mean, what's exciting about waste management?
Nothing.
And you show me a guy that owns a garbage business, I'll show you a guy with a mansion somewhere.
Exactly.
I mean, it's something to be said for those boring, mundane jobs.
Yeah, I mean, it's, most of those jobs are a 9 to 5 job or something like that, and they are boring jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, you do the same repeat thing all day, every day. And, like in our business, it's different every day. It's different every hour.
Yeah. But like even in the service industry, right? Like you could start a pressure washing business if you're really conservative for what, $5,000, $3,000. It'd be boring, meticulous, same job day in, day out. But if you're the owner operator, I bet you've got an enormously better profit margin per job than anyone in excavation.
Oh, probably.
But I couldn't do that every day. Hold that wand and just watch the black turn to gray.
No, that would be boring. And like you said, same thing all day, every day. I mean, you may be at a different property, but it's literally the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Crazy. Do you guys have any intentions of expanding the business and bringing in like more family members or employees, or do you just like the dynamic that you have with the two of you and then the father jumping in from time to time or driving?
It's really nice just the two of us because, if you have an employee, they're counting on you to feed their family. And so, I mean, like with us, if if there's no work, it's not a big deal. If we need to take a day to go do something, we don't have to worry about finding work for that person. So it's not a huge deal to stay the size we are. But we have talked about having at least one, maybe two more people to keep up with what we have. But like I said, then again, that's just kind of double the headache, I guess, to keep track of everything.
Yeah, I hear you. And I remember because I was in my 20s and we had an enormous amount of people. Most of them were part-time working at the bars and restaurants that we had. And when you realize how many people are dependent on you and you're like, holy, like the weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders. And then an older business guy, basically a mentor, was just like, it's not a fear, it's a privilege. And it took me a couple years to truly understand what he meant by that. But like, it is a privilege to be able to, like, once you get over the fear phase, you look at him and go, man, it's because of the work we create that he's able to support and have the life with his family. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, we had one guy working for us for a while, and work got kind of slow, so he went and found another job, which I guess I kind of found it for him. I guess working for our biggest customer. And I just never had him come back after that. I mean, because we were slow. And then when it did pick back up, that was not too long after COVID. And so you didn't have a job?
I was working at the bar and the ice cream shop at that time.
Yeah. And so, I mean, she didn't have the best thing. And I mean, I figured I could use help. And she ran a skid loader quite a bit before her grandpa had a skid loader. But as far as the excavator, I just threw her in it one day and said, figure it out. Have fun. And I'm leaving. And that's pretty much how I get her on any machine she hasn't ran. You just have to throw her on it and walk away. And she'll have to figure it out.
Yep.
How did you feel about that when it happened, Kelly?
A little nerve-wracking, but if he's gone, I feel like I do a lot better. He makes me nervous when he watches. Yeah, I've been doing it for years, but still don't like him watching me do a job.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I didn't like it when my dad was in the garage looking over my shoulder. What are you doing to the car? And you're like, get out of here. Like,
yeah,
I got it.
My biggest thing is that's the way I would do it after the job's already done. Oh, I would have done it this way, make it better. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I will tell you what, my brother and I owned a business together, and I was that way. He's my older brother, ironically, and I treated him, I don't know, our dynamic's a little different. But I would always say to him, like, why are you doing it that way? And we'd always argue over the process, even though both of us had the exact same outcome in our mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I mean, the process is different, but as long as the outcome's the same, it should be fine.
Right. So when I quit worrying about the process and just worried about the outcome, our relationship got better.
I feel like that's kind of worked for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, let me put this in perspective to people listening out there. Does Cuba even have 10,000 residents?
No, Cuba is like 1,200 people.
1,200. With the nastiest hairpin turn coming into town I've ever seen.
Yes.
Isn't that Cuba with that? You got to be pulling cars out of that field constantly.
There's been that have gone off the road there.
Yeah, I was almost one of them years ago. I got a new car, and I was like, we were on our way to Macomb, and I'm like, let's see what this thing can do. And it was coming into Cuba, and it was everything I had to get that below 80, 60, 50, 30 to make that turn.
No, see, I bet you at least once a year somebody goes through that fence right there.
I believe it. I'm shocked it's not more often, actually.
Oh, it probably is. But
that's what we see.
Yeah, that's what you see. I guess what I'm getting to, though, is like you're in a very small town, and Fulton County, while it has a decent population, it's pretty spread out. So I'm assuming most of the jobs you guys drive to is like the shortest drive is probably 15 minutes, most of them half hour, 45 minutes away.
Well, actually, the majority of our work, most of the time, is within 15 minutes of our house.
No kidding.
I'd say it's mostly local farmers we work for. I mean, there is times. I mean, we've been down to Astoria, which is about 45 minutes from us. We've been down there it was about 2 months this spring for a out of state deer hunter from Michigan, and bought some property down there. We're doing some cleanup for him. And then, I mean, I've been Chillicothe, clear over to Nauvoo. I mean, I've been all over, but I would say 85% of our work is within 20 minutes of our house.
Yeah.
We do a lot.
Go ahead.
Between Farmington, we do a lot between Fairview and Farmington, and I mean, I said we're not far from home most of the time.
That's pretty cool. Well, the reason I was bringing that up and I wanted to ask you is that, I mean, I didn't find a website. You talk about doing all word of mouth, never spending a penny on advertising. And it looked to me like, I think the last post you made on the business Facebook page was in 2024.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say first couple of years we advertised quite a bit, but a lot of that was just gravel driveways. I think since I really took off doing the excavating side, I don't think we've advertised at all. And it's all word of mouth. And I mean, a lot of it is, to me, your finished work. Making sure the job's cleaned up when you're done, make sure it looks nice. I mean, because there's several other competitors around here that are not the best at that. And we have picked up a lot of jobs because of that. People see how our jobs look when we're done, and then how others look when the other people are done. And, when we're done, you don't touch it. I mean, it's like, the field we just got done doing for that hunter, we cleared probably 4 or 5 acres to make it a big food plot. And I went as far as taking the tractor and disc down there and working it up for him so it's ready to plant for him. And so he literally doesn't have to touch anything, just shows up, plants, and he's done.
Yeah, and that's the extra step, right? That's the memorable part. That's why they refer you. That's why they call you the second time.
Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of repeat customers. And those repeat customers then tell whomever, they're talking to. And that, like you said, word of mouth. That's how we get a lot of jobs.
Yeah, to me, it was just like, wow, I thought you'd have a little bit more presence somewhere, maybe not doing paid ads, but because, I mean, Cuba's such, like you said, 1,200 people, you've got to be able to expand a little bit to probably keep the workload throughout the year. And I feel like, word of mouth usually takes, in my opinion, longer than a couple of years to really reach out 30, 40 miles outside of your home base in Cuba. But you guys are just cruising right along.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever really been under like 2 months of work out. And I mean, that's about where we're at right now. It's probably about 2 months worth of work, but I mean, it seems like it never really gets under that anymore. I mean, it used to worry me when I'd get down around that, but I mean, now it just seems like that's just a constant thing to keep us somewhere right in there. And we stay busy year round.
Do you guys both do estimates and sales, or does just one of you do that?
That's all me. I mean, I pretty much go look at jobs. I mean, there's a few she'll do, but not a whole lot. Most of the time I keep her in a machine working, and then I'll be, well, I mean, it seems like a lot of times I'll start a job and she'll finish it. I mean, and because I have to go do something else, run around or haul rock or something.
Yeah. Who handles all of like the billing and paperwork and all that? Is that a tag team effort, or does one of you take the charge on that?
We kind of split that. He does all of the invoicing. I do all of like the payables and logistics, basically. Try to keep up on certifications and all of the legal paperwork and stuff like that.
That's fantastic. You guys, just this brief moment here, it's cool to see that without having, I doubt you guys sat down and had I'm in charge of this position, you're in charge of this task, I'm in charge of this, but you guys have kind of organically let that happen. And you guys both know your role, your place in the business, when you need to ask the other for help, but otherwise he's got that, she's got that, and it just works.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was when everything just kind of flowed right into it. I did HR and some other admin work in my office job, so it kind of felt natural for me to take on those roles. And with him doing most of the jobs, well, all the jobs before I started with him, it was kind of natural for him to take over the billing because he had a better idea of that stuff than I did.
Yeah. And that's the tricky one, right? Like you can spend time and teach her how to do that. But I mean, now you got two people doing the same job and other job work isn't getting completed. And if you mess up on the bidding, as Jeremy probably knows firsthand from here and there, it's not fun.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. You learn real quick.
Yeah.
Like I said, that demo job in Farmington on that big building, that's one that I'm not quite sure how to bid because it's so big.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause, like a house or a barn, I'm normally spot on those, but something that big, I really have no clue how to bid it.
And I don't have any experience in demolition, but the guys I work with and have talked to over the years, like the thing that gets them, it's the hauling.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's when you got a project the size of a school, you could miss by 50 trucks, 100 trucks.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's a huge number.
Yeah. I mean, and depending on how far you're going, you could be $200 a load going somewhere. And that's a lot of money to be off.
Yep. That's a big deal. Yeah, there's something to be said. Like if you're growing into more demolition and getting into larger projects, it's like, hey, education's not free. Let's cut our teeth, get our name out there, make our mark. But if this is where you guys like to stay and that's always going to be on the edge of it, then you have to start looking at risk reward, right? That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, neither one of us like really doing much work in towns pretty much. We don't really do a whole lot of residential stuff anymore just because we don't like dealing with utilities and stuff like that. And so we try to stay away from that just because we stay plenty busy doing farm work. We're out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing. The only thing you can hurt is the machine pretty much if you can drop a tree or something on it. But I mean, in town, there's so many things to go wrong. You have people that, even if you put up a fence, they come inside and want to know what you're doing. People just trying to be nosy. And it just seems like there's so many more things that can go wrong in town during a demolition than there is out in the country.
I get that. I mean, and it sounds like with your being 2 months out on a consistent basis, you don't need it. Like that's a beautiful place to be too, that you get to choose whether you want to take it or not.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, can't say really picky on jobs, but we do get to pick and choose what we do now. Have you ever heard of the Goose Ranch outside Canton?
I know the Hermans very well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. When I first started, I mean, I would pretty much save my weekends to deliver rock and do work out there because people don't come out there on weekends, and so it's hard to do work when they're not there through the week. To really see or look at the jobs, I guess. So pretty much from March until I would say July 4th weekend, I would say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I spent almost every weekend out there at Goose Ranch doing small jobs like that. And that place became so popular. Now it's just such a pain to get in and out of because there's so many people. I just try not to go in there and do much anymore.
Yeah. Were you delivering the rock when they were using the aggregate spreader to build the roads? Were you hauling the rock for them for that?
Nope, I was not hauling for that. I'm not sure who was doing that one.
Yeah, because the aggregate spreader is like a large U-shaped box that gets bolted to the front blade of a dozer and it allows you to spread 10 to 16 feet wide, and you can set the depth of the gravel and just let her eat. So, did you get to meet Dwayne Atherton with all those little time you spent out there?
No, the only one that I ever really got to know is Justin.
Okay. Yeah. So for anyone listening out there, this was like old strip mine property. SoCo owned it forever, I believe. Wasn't it the old Silco mine pits?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah. And this family bought this, and they went to their financial advisor and said, hey, we're going to convert all this into a luxury camping ground. We're going to build cabins and sell them. We'll have campsites. Nobody outside of the family thought it was a good idea. They thought it was going to be an awful investment. I mean, you couldn't find a single person that said, I can't wait to see it. Like, they're like, man, that's a lot of money. What are you doing? And it is booked out in advance. They're selling cabins now for like almost $200,000 out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Hermans will build cabins, and they're not 15 by 30 cabins, and they're bringing a couple $100,000.
Yeah, they're beautiful. My friends have some out there because it's that's their vacation spot, and I like going to visit them. But I'm like, I just could never imagine spending $200,000 on a cabin on a piece of property I don't own.
And that's the thing. You don't own the property, but you still have to pretty much pay a lease to have the property.
Yeah, because I thought it was nuts when they were first building that first row of cabins. I think they were like 75, 80,000. I'm like, that's insane. And now the people that bought them at 80 are selling them for 130. And I'm like, who would have ever thought you'd make money on a vacation cabin that you don't own the land? Like, I never saw the day coming.
No, I mean, and like I said, from when the Hermans bought it to now, it is completely different out there. I mean, they put up a restaurant either last year or year before out there, and it's.
Yeah, there's like 5 lakes out there, a restaurant, multiple beaches, pavilions. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's good. I love watching guys like the Hermans because you can learn a little bit about business, right? Like, they parlayed their home building skills into building the cabins, but not until somebody bought the cabin and paid them to put it on their property. Like, they've got the whole system figured out where they're making a little bit of money in multiple places instead of trying to make a big amount of money in one place.
Yeah, I mean, they're making it every step of the way. And like I said, I mean, but the bad part is that out there now, it's just so cramped because they're added so many spots. Yeah,
we are a company I work with here in Peoria. They do septic pumping, repair, installs. And they were going to do the pumping at all the camper sites because all the campers have a 100-gallon holding tank. And like they went and did it once, then they had to send an email to the whole lot. Like, I apologize, but I mean, they had their truck they were like lifting power lines and making sure that he's like, yeah, we're just not built for those tight roads. And then you got people in there with their cars and same problem you have. It's just, it was too tight. What do you guys do in the wintertime? Do you just take family break, do maintenance and get ready for the spring? Or do you guys go find work to like stay busy?
It depends on the weather. I mean, like this year we worked up until probably mid-January, and then normally take about a month off to do maintenance and stuff like that. Just small stuff we put off through the year. We say we can get to in the winter, and then we end up doing it right before we need whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah. But you guys kind of plan for that month, 2 months based on weather, and you're A-okay. You don't stress out too bad if it's like, that's fit. That's awesome.
The first couple of years I would plow snow during the winter if it snowed enough, or I did a little bit of mechanic work, helping a buddy in his diesel shop just to, get through the winter. But now we kind of budget for saving for that 2-month delay of no work pretty much. We're to the point now where we don't have to struggle through the winter like we did before. I mean, because,
it's a nice feeling.
In Illinois, you never know how the winter's going to be. It could be a short winter or it could be brutally cold for a long time.
Yeah, it could start in November and last till March, or it could start never. Like, I don't know. What was that? Probably 6 or 7 years ago, I think we broke a record for the number of days in the state that the temperature was below 32, and then for the days below 0. That winter, it was like 49 or 50 days in a row where it was below freezing. that was the most miserable winter I can ever remember.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to plan for that and know ahead of time. But I mean, like I said, with our biggest customer being that big of a farmer, harvest time, we stop the dirt work side, and we have both semis running for him for 6 to 8 weeks. And yeah, that's a pretty good size check running 2 semis that long. And then, pick right back up on dirt work and run till it freezes us out pretty much. And, we're most of the time sitting pretty good for the winter. But, this year, the way winter was, like I said, it was so cold, but then it turned really muddy for the longest time after. So we still couldn't really do much. So this winter kind of pushed us a little thin, but we were still doing good.
Yeah. How do you guys fill your time during those winter months? Do you get to sleep in a little bit, or are you just still on regular schedule? You take the kids on vacations?
I guess it was winter of 23. We left right before Christmas and went down to Gulf Shores. And so, I mean, we spent vacation down there over kids' Christmas break from school. And then
Did you stay in a Herman property down there?
I did not.
He's got like 9 of them down there. He's got almost a whole building now, I think, the Hermans do.
I did not know that. No, we stayed in a condo right on the ocean.
Yeah. It's beautiful down there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you hear me? I feel like these software companies, like, they go above and beyond to make sure you have a really good experience for the first month. So then you spend a bunch of money with them, and then their service goes to shit. I loved this software we're using to record this for a month, and now I'm like, I could do without it. I don't know what connection problems, server errors, upload. I'm like, what is the deal?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that way anymore.
I know it. But so, man, we've kind of covered the work-life balance, the family, you guys, how you got into this, where you're going with that. Jeremy, Kelly, I want to ask you the same question, but I'll let get an answer individually from each of you on this. If you could go back to when you started the business in 2019, what advice do you wish you would have gave yourself? And then Kelly, for you, when you came on board full time, what advice do you wish you would have gave yourself?
I'm not really sure, actually. I mean, we spent a lot of time working on stuff because, starting out, you buy whatever machine you can afford. And we spent a lot of time doing that. And I mean, a lot of time working on pretty much everything we owned. And I will say, when I first started, I had a bunch of people tell me to buy a single axle dump truck. And I thought that was nuts because I wanted to, starting out, I had to buy a skid steer, and then I had to buy a trailer. And so I bought a gooseneck dump trailer, which now, looking back, was kind of a waste of money because I ended up buying a single axle dump truck. Because, starting out doing that with not the single axle, the gooseneck dump trailer, going to jobs, let's say I had to go into Goose Ranch. You got to haul all your material in, come back, pick up skid loader, take it back in there. Where with single axle, you take everything one load. But starting out, I thought it wouldn't make sense buying a truck and a trailer. Why not just buy a trailer to do it all? Well, after the first year, I realized that it was just easier with a single axle. And so I went and bought one. And we actually still have that same truck, and it works so much better than that gooseneck dump trailer. We had it for, I think, 2 years. And that's when I started to get into some demolition, and I was using that. And that 2-year-old trailer looked like a 20-year-old trailer when we sold it, just because those trailers are not meant to be used all day, every day like I was. And so as far as advice, I would say buy heavier stuff to starting out, like heavier trucks, because it takes a lot of wear and tear on a pickup. A pickup's not designed to do, to work all day, every day on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I want to just interject, like, from your comment and just kind of elaborate a smidge on great advice. The other piece of advice that I heard in there was don't discount the opinions of other people that are in the industry when you don't know what you're doing. Like, you got good advice and you even mentioned that, right? Like, a lot of people told me I should look at this. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I want. Like, when you're young starting out, like, process that information. Like, think through it. Like, why did he say that? Understand it. Because you might just find out that they were right.
Yeah. Well, in another instance, we have a friend. I can't call him a competitor. He does the exact same stuff, lives 5 miles from us, but our customer base is so much different. I mean, for some reason, he does not know my customers. I don't know his, for the most part. I mean, I know some of his, but we never really compete with each other. And for probably 2 or 3 years now, he's been trying to talk me into buying a new excavator. And so we got this one. And I called him, I talked to him about, because he's all cat and we were all case before, but I'm not a fan of the case dealers around here. So we knew we were switching, but we didn't know who we were switching to. And so I talked to him a little bit about his cat. And I called him. I said, I don't care what you like about the cat machines. What don't you like? And he rattled off several things. And so he told me again, he goes, you'd be better off with a new one. He goes, it'll just make sense. I'm like, I don't see how a new one will make sense. And, after we looked into used ones versus new ones, warranty wise, we ended up with a new one. And then I called him and he goes, yeah, you should have bought one a couple of years ago. I'm like, I kind of figured that. But I told him that Kelly really loved it. And all he said was, I know.
That's funny. Kelly, what about you? What do you wish you knew differently back when you started?
I feel like if we would have given ourselves some more grace in those first couple of years, there were so many mistakes that we look back on. Like, why did we do this? Why did we do that? We were learning and we weren't realizing it at the time. Like, we do things completely different now than we did a couple years ago. So I feel like if we were able to give ourselves a little more grace, we would probably have done a little better at the time. But looking back, I feel like we probably wouldn't have changed anything.
I love that. Give yourself a little grace. I think we're always too hard on ourselves.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of late nights and frustration, when we're starting out. We had to buy the junk equipment and fix it, that the night before we had to have it on a job. So it was frustrating looking back at it, but I don't think we'd be where we are now if we were, jumped right in and bought all the newer stuff and instead of doing what we did.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when someone asks about your business, like, hey, how's it been the last 6 years? Your first thought is always like, oh, it's been great. But your memories are the hard times that you persevered. Like, God, do you remember when we had to stay up till 2 a.m. fixing it so we could be at a job site at 6? And nobody, you'll never sit around going, God, do you remember that job we did where everything ran smooth and it only took us 4 days? Like, you'll never talk about it.
Right.
No, I mean, because honestly, one of our smoothest jobs was a pond we did a year and a half ago. And my dozer caught on fire on that job and burnt the cab. But as far as building, that was probably one of the smoothest jobs we've done.
And if it wasn't for the cat catching on fire,
you
just would have moved forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you in it when it caught on fire?
Yeah, I was actually pushing dirt, and she was throwing dirt to me with the excavator. And when it caught fire, I was right beside her when I got out of it. And of course, it was under the side panel, so you couldn't get to where it was burning with fire extinguishers. So by the time the fire department got there, the cab was already so burnt. And
It was bad.
Oh. And then what do you do with a big old paperweight in the middle of a field?
Well, see, this is going back to advice. Make sure you have insurance on everything.
Do an audit like every 6 months.
Audit yourself.
Yeah.
That dozer did not have insurance, come to find out. We thought it did. And so while we were on vacation in Gulf Shores, I found a cab, had it shipped up here, supposed to be a cab ready to bolt on. And it was not. But going back to the day that the dozer burned, somehow that thing still ran. The inside of the cab was completely torched. And being an older Cummins motor, I'm really good with those. I'm like, I know I can make the motor run, but as far as getting the transmission to move, I didn't think it would. Made a joke to her cousin that I was going to get in it, turn the key, and start it and drive it out of the pond the day after it burnt. And he thought I was joking, which it was a joke. But I literally went down there, turned the key, fired it up, and drove it out of the pond.
Oh, how lucky was that? Because otherwise, I'm assuming it would take at least a day to get it out of the pond, out of the field.
Yeah, we weren't really sure how we were going to get it out, honestly.
Yeah.
We were going to try to drag it out with the excavator, but we weren't really sure. That's why it started as a joke with me just driving it out.
And you'd be damned if it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it fired up, and everything functioned, and I still have no clue what truly started the fire. There was a huge mouse nest down under that panel, so I'm assuming it was a bare wire of some kind.
Yeah, when they get older too, like that, it's just regular wear and tear. Things start opening up or moving, and you just never know.
Oh yeah, it was a 20-year-old dozer. It is what it is at that point. As far as all the equipment we've had, that's the only piece that I've ever lost money on.
Yeah. That's a good, I'm a firm believer, man. Education is not free. And just because you don't have a diploma hanging on your wall doesn't mean you haven't learned some lessons between insurance, which you were talking about, doing audits, like all that stuff, your bidding projects, processes. People get pissed off when they lose money. And I'm like, listen, I know a lot of teachers that spend a lot of money to make $40,000 a year. Like, take your lashings on a bid, right? Like, it is what it is, but don't do it again. Learn from it.
Yep.
So, because I pretty much do all our own work. You've never been to school for any mechanics or welding or anything like that, and there ain't nothing I'm not afraid to do. For instance, this week, I bought a tractor earlier this year for our farm side of the business, I guess, and we're going to use it to pull our dirt scraper too. Had a slight engine oil leak when I bought it, which, is a few drips here and there, nothing major. Took it down to work that food plot last Friday. On the way down, I smelled oil, looked out the side, and the whole side of my hood was covered in oil. What I thought was the front main ended up being the front cover on the motor. So to get that apart, you got to pull, hood, radiator. You end up pulling the front cover off. You got to pull the cam out of the motor. Have to pull the oil pan off, and most people, that's a huge project to pull the cam to get the front cover and everything off. Pretty much you're having a motor 3/4 of the way disassembled, and that's just another day for me. I've never been to school for any of it. I just can't be afraid to tear into something.
I think that's great advice, and I believe most business owners have a bit of that mentality because you took the jump in starting a business, right? But you're right. It's just, I have that. We just talked about that in a team meeting yesterday. Someone's like, we need to hire this. I'm like, I don't disagree with you, but my mentality is like, if somebody else can figure it out, I can figure it out. Let me tear into it.
Exactly. Well, like that other friend / competitor, if you want to call him that John Howarder, he's the one with all that cat equipment, and he's got a service truck too. Just, I guess it's a lot smaller than my service truck, but it was right when I got that service truck, the swing drive motor was leaking on our smaller excavator. And I'd never had one apart, never even seen inside of one. So I pulled it out, pulled it all apart, resealed it, put it back together. I was talking to John about it, and he goes, "You did that?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" He goes, "Well, I wouldn't do that." He goes, "I've never had one of those apart." I'm like, "Neither had I. I just tore into it." And he asked, he goes, "What would you have done if you couldn't get it back together?" I'm like, "Call somebody that knows how, because you would have had to call them anyway."
Right. And what a great attitude, right? Like, somebody knows how to fix it. I might as well try to do it myself first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how it is with everything. I mean, somebody out there is going to know what they're doing if I can't figure out how to get it back together.
That's awesome. I know we kind of mentioned it earlier and all that. You guys are like really enjoying just working together, and if you stay where you're at, you're happy and as a clan. But what are some of your goals, whether they be business or personal, for like the next 3 to 5 years?
I would like to, as far as equipment wise, I would like to get everything kind of transferred over to CAT equipment. So far, really happy with their service. And we love the new excavator. You know, we got the one dozer's D9. We bought that last year. And I would like to find like a D6N to get my smaller dozer over to. And then our excavator, smaller one, we'd like to go to probably a 315. And I mean, we don't do a whole lot of dozing work. Honestly, like the D9, no reason to own it besides it was cheap when I bought it. And who around here can say they own a D9?
Yeah, and what man doesn't want one?
I mean, it's I knew about a couple months before I bought it. My buddy bought the excavator from the guy, and he just kept telling me, he goes, "You need to buy the dozer." I'm like, "I have no use for a D9. And he sent me pictures of it, and I thought it was an old pony motor machine with, like a standard transmission. It's not even power shift. And so I went over there, helped him work on the excavator. I was walking back out, looked at the 9. I'm like, I'm just going to go sit on it. Just say I sat on a D9 once in my life. As I'm climbing up, his electric starter, power shift. And I'm like, well, I might be interested. And then, a couple weeks later, it's sitting at my house. And used it a whole lot, but I mean, we're going to build a pond here at our house with it. I mean, it is cool to have, but it was cheap enough you couldn't say no.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fun.
For pretty much what I have in it. And, it's got like a brand new undercarriage on it, which I would hate to know what that's worth today.
Yep, I agree.
And
I agree.
I mean, like I said, the majority of our work is excavator work, so I think those are going to end up staying newer. But the dozers, they're fine how they are. It's just I would like to get into something with a cab.
It's definitely the luxuries that we've gotten acclimated to, right? Like, Kelly, could you see yourself going to an old excavator again after sitting in that new one?
Yeah.
How's that work?
Not well. I went from the 20 down to the 130 down at that Astoria job. Oh, so frustrated. The lack of power, the lack of driving. It's loud. Technology's not there in that 130. It's crazy. You get a little spoiled, I guess.
Yeah, we do. We do.
That's
funny.
She pretty much called the new one a piece of shit.
No, the old one.
Or old one. Sorry, not the new one.
The old one's awful.
Yeah. And I told her, I'm like, just think about it this way. That was the nicer of the two machines that we had, too. I mean, out of the two case machines we had, that 130 was the better one to run. And now you go from the 320 back down to that 130. And you're like, how do we even do this before?
Right. That's the best part about growing and scaling, is that you can look back at what you thought was like. I mean, you probably bought that 130 and were tickled pink that you had it, and it was great, perfect for you. And now you're like, I'm not getting in that damn thing again.
Yep.
That's pretty much exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Well, it was just like,
that's funny.
My service truck that we put together. I don't know how we'd go back to not having a crane. We use that thing all the time.
So what did you do for a service truck? Did you buy like an old CAT service truck from the dealer, or?
No, it was a guy from Wisconsin actually put the truck together, but it was rough when we bought it. I mean, all the paint was peeling off the bed. The welder box was solid rust. The hood was all shattered from where somebody backed into it.
Mismatched panels.
Yeah,
it was just a whole.
It was rough.
Whole thing.
And so me and my buddy had a wild idea one day to pull the welder box off. We were gonna sand it down, paint it white, kind of make it halfway match the bed. Well, we just kept going and didn't stop. And 6 months later, we ended up with a completely redone truck that it's a pretty badass truck. I mean, I did not spare money when we were finishing it. I just figured if we're going that far, we might as well just do the whole thing and make something cool. I mean, there's a lot of people that know me for the truck. I've had somebody stop me at the gas station before. Never met the guy in my life. He didn't know my name, but he knew I had a badass service truck. That's all he knew. I'm like, I have no clue who you are, but I mean, it's an older Kenworth truck. I mean, it was bigger than what I wanted, but I'm very glad I bought it. I mean, because I was originally looking for like a 3500, 4500 truck with a smaller crane, because in my mind, I had 2 excavators, so if I need to lift something heavy, I have both of those. And so I was thinking 3,000-pound crane would be heavy enough, but this truck came with a 7,800-pound crane, and I max it out all the time. So there's no way
really?
I would with a 3,000-pound crane.
Yeah. Huh. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jeremy, Kelly, I can't thank you enough for taking your time out of your busy week and spending it with us here and chatting with us for the last hour or so. I've enjoyed it. It's nice to talk to a neighbor.
Right.
Throw that in there.
We're close.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, because I went to college in Macomb and then moved to Peoria. So like that whole Bushnell all the way through Glassford and every town in between. In fact, we went down to Lewiston for a night, and what I saw in that town, I was like, wow. This old timer at the bar was talking about you got to be down by the river, otherwise you won't see any turkeys, and he said it 50 times, while this guy and this girl were dry humping on the pool table with their clothes on, and I was like, how do I get out of here? Oh, good. What's that?
That's just Fulton County.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Ryan? That was last Saturday.
I got some if you end up at the bars.
Yeah. Well, our friend had a cabin over there, and then we would go over there and we were going revolver deer hunting in January is what we were doing that year. So we just went out for a few in town. I was like, hey, now. So
I said when we actually lived in town in Cuba, and we were 2 blocks from the bar. I mean, and I think we lived there almost 2 years before I ever even went up there once.
Oh, really?
Just not a bar person.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. But, well, anyway, I want to be respectful of you guys' time. Thank you so much for coming on the show and joining us today. We appreciate you sharing your story, your dynamic, your work and life balance. I thought it was intriguing. I think it's amazing that a husband and wife get to do what you guys get to do every day and spend that much time together. And if any man's with a woman that says, I would never like that, then you need to take a look in the mirror and figure out why not.
Yeah, I mean, there's several people that think it's odd that we can spend that much time together and still get along.
No, I think it's amazing. So it's a really cool dynamic. I'm not going to lie, Kelly, I was expecting you to be the admin, HR, office, answer phones and like run the business. And you're like, hell no, man, we're out there doing it side by side. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty neat.
It was
So
a couple years ago when she was first starting, one of my buddies told me, he goes, give it a year or two and she's going to be better than you in the excavator. And I'm like, oh, bullshit. There ain't no way. She's better than me in the excavator.
Ha! That's fantastic. Yeah, and they're better shooters than us too if they take enough time to figure out how to do it too. So, all right, guys, if you want to reach out to Jeremy and Kellie, say hi, say thanks for the story, all of that stuff, we're going to throw the Haggerty Dozer and Excavating link into the show notes. It'll be down there. I think it's cool if you guys reach out and thank the guests for taking time and coming out and doing it. So don't hesitate to reach out to them. And remember, the show is brought to you literally by the name of the show, Skid Steer Nation. Head over to skidsteernation.com to find all of your skid steer attachment needs. Jeremy, Kellie, thanks so much for being on the show. And until next week, guys, we will see you later.